I coughed so much more than you. The entire time I was coughing and you were
Still
telling
drinking?
us our story. I'm so
Yeah,
glad that happened.
I'm so glad I'm not coughing.
No, but
Interesting.
Ageism is going to
that's
face
really
me.
interesting because again, like what Stormer was saying, normally the people we've been interviewing, we're like all in the beginning stages. We
Mhm.
never really heard that side of people that are already, you know, have the
Overqualified.
experience. Yeah, and they're like,
That sounds so arrogant. You're overqualified. But yeah, but that's a weird thing that I'm facing. Also, like the ups and downs of salaries. My Warner's job paid really well, and everything after that less. It's still good, don't get me wrong, but it's also that you have to factor in where like you're pricing yourself out of positions. So it's also adjusting. Like, okay, I got to go way down. Still ask for more, but you kind of have to adjust. But like I applied for like crowds animator positions, background animators, because I like it. Like it was for Disney. Like I would love to work. Like that's a campus that I visited thanks to a student of mine who works there, Luai. Props to Luai. He's a great animator. Gave me the whole tour.
Can you send us an invite, Luai?
It was so great. That campus is fantastic. And it's just like my childhood is Jungle Book and those kind of movies. Like I love Disney. I would love to work there.
Yeah.
And then, but I can if someone opens the application for like crowds animator or background animator and then sees my resume, besides having no feature experience, right? He goes, what the fuck? Why? Like I understand why they would say why, but like none of that is beneath me. Like I would love to just animate within that company, with that culture, their movies, but also just sitting in dailies around those people. You know how much I would learn? It'd be amazing. So for me, like I want to do this, but I'm sure they might see it as, oh, you want to be. It's almost like an easy way to get hired because you're overqualified to do maybe background stuff, and then through that you want to bypass everyone to become an animator. You mean like I can see that thinking, but that's not what I'm thinking. I can be 2 years background animator. I want to have the best time of my life because I like animating. And then I'll leave the company, go somewhere else. You know what I mean? But
you know, sometimes when there are applications, there's a note that you can add some extra stuff to whatever your resume is. You should just write this down. I really, truly just want to animate. I'm not looking to get someone else's job. Just please.
Don't be scared.
Don't
be scared of my resume.
I just want to be in dailies.
But that's, then you're just so begging for this thing. I think what I want to do, that's my personal challenge. I want to create a cartoony, all personal clips that's so good where people just can't deny the quality.
Have you ever thought about maybe doing a short of your own with?
Oh, for sure. I have so many ideas. I don't have time. That's the problem. That's also my biggest problem. Every time a company is hiring, I'm always scrambling to get all the shots, put something together. I never have time to create something new to show what I can do now.
Yeah.
So I always feel like my reel is kind of old and not good enough, which sounds like the lamest excuse. But that's always the thing, because as much as I love animating, don't get me wrong, I love it. I love the industry, animation, everything. I love, like, there's always this shot that Julian Teo, I think it was Julian Teo, I think he's still at Pixar. It was a Pixar internship shot of Riley from Inside Out. She comes into a room and she opens the door and it's the wrong room.
Yes.
She looks around, the door hits her and she gets out. When you watch that shot, when the door closes, the handle shakes a little bit.
Yep.
And it's exactly like, I know that handle. That's the same handle that the Academy of Art has in their rooms. And I know how loose they can be. I see this animation and go, that's perfect. I love it. So for me, it's like, I would love to animate a door and a door handle. That sounds silly, but I love it. I love animating props and vehicles and cameras. I love all that stuff. So like that's the challenge of convincing someone that you just want to animate. You just love the process of animating. But anyway, that's my complaint, that you're in the old world.
I will be honest. I applied to I can't believe I'm saying it. I applied to Sundance yesterday, and basically my cover letter, I was a bit desperate. I was just like, I miss working. I love working. Like,
you said that in your cover letter?
Yeah. I was just like, my parents have asked me numerous times, like, what do you want to do for your career? Like, you've done so many things. And I'm like, I've never been happier than I am right now animating. So basically that was my cover letter. And I'm like, you know what? I just click send. And
the
I'm
truth.
Like, okay.
You're being honest and you show your passion. What's your favorite thing you like to animate?
Oh man. I think the funnest thing that I did was basically vehicles. I love creating the motion path and then attaching to it and then doing exactly what you're saying, adding those small little details to whatever the vehicle is and just being like, ooh. And then you get the notes from the director like, hey, it's previs. We don't need that much stuff. And I'm like, oh, damn it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that's awesome.
previs is we were actually just talking to someone yesterday on a podcast, and I think I just love the beginning stages of animation. So I love being a layout artist and just getting the idea down and then giving it to someone like you or someone that's the animator, and then just seeing what you guys do from it.
Yeah,
Then that just
adding
just
all
like,
the little
awesome.
things.
Yeah.
Same for you, Sormy. How do you pronounce your name, by the way?
Sormeh.
Sormy. Okay.
Sorry.
Same for you. Like you love.
I love creatures. Creatures are life. Any kind of creatures, the bigger the better. But
creatures are life.
Creatures are so much fun. There's so much freedom because there's no right way to animate them. I mean, there are rules, but you get more freedom to just do your own little thing. Maybe this creature does this weird thing that other creatures don't. I just love doing that.
Yeah.
One day, we'll get back. We'll get back and do those things.
You will. I mean, you're also doing this podcast. Like you have the passion. You're surrounded by all those things you want to do, and that's already a big part of it that will sustain the fire to continue. So people, will get discouraged and stop. So it's like you having that passion, that fire in you is also going to help. Doesn't mean you're going to get a job right away. Like you might have to take other jobs or do something else outside of animation until then. But it's like the cliche thing is it's a marathon and not a sprint. But it's totally true. And anything that will sustain that marathon for you is going to be the thing to help you.
The problem, I think, is that I'm not showing the fire in my reel at all. I used to animate because I needed a job, and I think I need to switch it to animate because I love animating and just show that in my reel. So I'm gonna start animating for a new reel, and then hopefully that would work.
I think that's a good path. It's sometimes you fall into the trap of what's the bullet list of things you should show on a reel.
Exactly.
Which is what I tell my students, you need to show this. But I think within that list, do your thing. Like whatever sensibilities you have of like quirky timing or whatever it is, do that. Because the thing is, people are going to hire you depending on the company. Like some companies, like VFX might be more, you got to show polish because there's enough time to train, right? They might hire you for like 911 work at the end and you got to be okay. But some companies are going to be, we can train you. We want to see your ideas. And if your animation just shows like those out there acting choices or creature work, that's a big plus too. Because a lot of people can animate to polish, you know what I mean? Like where it's technically really cool, but it's also really boring.
Yep.
So that's the next hurdle of you can technically animate, but what will set you apart idea-wise?
Exactly. Yeah,
that's going to help.
Yeah, and then like you were saying with this podcast, like we love it so much, and then it's also we just want to talk with people and like tell them like, hey, it's okay in these tough times to question it, and we just think it's best to just talk about it. So we just start meeting people and we hear how they are doing. They tell us their stories. We find out some amazing stuff like yourself with how you got started. Our other friend Paul that we interviewed, he lived in a closet at his friend's house so that he could work for his first animation job. It's great things.
Yeah. Also, if you don't need the work permit, like you're in the country that you have the passport and everything, it's also okay to work a non-related, like animation-related jobs to pay your bills. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There might also be that stigma or something like, oh, I didn't make it. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, if you have to work, one of my students, it's a long story. I'll truncate it. He worked at a mobile gaming company, did effects, animation type stuff for that. But he always wanted to work for a bigger company. And he took my workshops. He took Animation Collaborative as well for a long time, for years. And it was kind of like, it was okay, but it was never that next level. But he kept going until like 5 years into it or something. And then he showed me the reel again for the next workshop. And he took the workshop and NMC at the same time. And I looked at it and it was just, something clicked. It was really good. And I asked, what happened? That's always the thing with every student. Like there's always a moment where it clicks and then suddenly it's so good. And then that year he got into Disney. So the thing is, if you do other jobs, like in the grand scheme of, let's say you work in animation for 30 years, if you're lucky, right? 30, 40 years, who knows?
Yeah.
Are those 6 months of doing something else on the side, does that matter? Not at all. So just don't feel that way. Don't feel the pressure of, I didn't make it, I'm a loser, whatever you might have your mental self-harm feelings of, I didn't make it, that doesn't matter. None of that matters.
Yeah.
And especially once you get the job, you're not going to remember it, or I don't think it's don't worry about that stuff. It's okay to do something on the side, which again, I can say because I didn't do it. Like, it's an easy thing for me to say. So just whoever listens to this, like, I have my own filter and my own experiences that don't apply to you, but I also don't, I've seen enough back and forth, you mean like pendulum swings of bad and good. AI is definitely a worry. It's definitely different. But I think at the end, we also just love the human touch and the human connection.
Yeah.
And AI is not going to have that. So that's my optimistic hope, that people will after a while get tired of it. It's like, okay, the novelty is gone.
Yeah, that's the hope.
It's kind of lame. Let's go back to the human touch,
True.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
You got to ask him the question we started yesterday, Sormeh. Remember how we're
No,
gonna
it's your question. Go for it.
It's my, well, the movie one. I was talking about what's the movie?
Yeah,
I think you already answered it, but what's the movie that got you obsessed fully with animation?
Star Wars.
All right, that's what I'm thinking.
No, because it's Star Wars and all that stuff. It's just the fantastical aspect of movies, just like Back to the Future, just like cool effects in movies. And even like Jungle Book back then, for me, was like, this was like, I love the look of it, but I didn't understand what animation is, what that means, and drawing and frame by frame and all that stuff. It's a good question. Like, in terms of like actual animation, that's a good question. I think once I studied here and started to understand what was going on and how you actually do things on the computer, it was more like an appreciation of, oh, this is how they did those movies. But I remember distinctly when the Ice Age Scratch short came out, the first one, that it blew us away in the lab, in like the school lab, that you can be that cartoony using CG rigs.
Oh, okay.
I think that was the thing. Yes, you appreciate all the other CG movies. You start looking at, okay, like young Sherlock Holmes, like the first CG character type stuff, or like Jar Jar, like more like where you complain about the character but not the animation. So it's technically a successful animation, right? So it's not that you understand that more, but I remember being really blown away by that Scratch shorts.
That's cool.
I think that was
an amazing one.
Yeah, that was one where we just framed through it all, like, what the hell? How did you? What kind of rig is this?
Yeah.
How can you do that? I think that was probably. It's a good question. Like, that's off the top of my head what I would say. I'm sure there's another answer somewhere in there, but I would say that.
Well,
and then you always have those milestones as you continue working where a movie comes out and it blows you away. Yeah.
Yeah. Dang.
What was for you?
Toy Story.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's so basic. Again, that was so
I think in the later years, the appreciation was I think parts or maybe all, they didn't have IK legs. It was FK. So stuff like that, you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Wow.
Those are the appreciation things where you're like, oh, that's what they had to do. That's insane. Or like stuff like that. But yeah. For sure, like those technical milestones, dates you and it dates me.
When did the YouTube stuff start happening for you? Like, what made you decide, like, I want to start? Because I can see it from your answers that you really wanted to help people, and I could see that with all your work. But like, where did it go? Like, you know what? I'm gonna start posting these videos and just giving everyone my insight, reviewing people's shots. Yeah, when did that start?
That's a good question too. I had, when I started teaching in 2007, I think it was the Academy. I think I started first. Was that out the Animation Mentor? I think Academy was first. I had a blog, old blogs, writing things, extra material for the students so that they could access that. And then when I started my workshops, I had a separate site where, again, a blog where I would post people's critiques. So thinking there would be a forum where people would discuss each other's work, which never happened, but it was just kind of posting things. And after all those years, I think the thing for me was, at that point when I needed to know something, I went to YouTube. Like, I was not Googling, but you went to YouTube for tutorials. And the main reason was, instead of having a site that no one goes to, I'm going to take all my workshop critiques, because I had like 1,000 of them, and just put them on YouTube every week. Something. It basically, again, that's why I'm saying my channel is very selfish. It was there to advertise my workshop. So let me just upload my critiques, and then that's it. And I think that's how it started. but I was still teaching. Well, I still am. And then after a while, I realized that I was doing material for the students and recording things. And I thought, well, why not put that on YouTube too? Because then the students can watch that and then learn at their own pace.
Yeah.
And then once you go into YouTube and you start watching the tutorials of like, this is how you light things, I fell into the trap of, oh, well, I can't be on YouTube with the proper camera and the proper microphone and blah, blah, blah. But also I love gadgets. So that was not the right way. But I took a deep dive into, well, I want to be lit a certain way and blah, blah, blah. And then I realized, and that's the cool thing about teaching, is that you can animate one way and not know how to explain that because that's your thing. And when you're forced to explain something to someone, it forces you to rethink your process. And that's already helpful in terms of, okay, let me structure my process a bit better. Now, when you then tell the students, that helps because you're telling someone. When you're recording things, you might take notes. Sometimes I just talk, but sometimes I take notes. So the process of me thinking about it, researching it, taking notes, saying it, editing it so I hear it again, it's just such a retrain for myself that I realized I'm actually becoming a better animator, I think, hopefully, by teaching. So then I started, okay, hold on. I really like taking notes when I watch movies. Let's just do the acting analysis for animator series where I would just watch something, much to the chagrin of my wife. Like she's super patient. And back then it used to be like you pause a DVD, which is so disruptive, like a Blu-ray. Now with streaming, you just kind of tap the remote and like the time code shows up and I can write it down. But it was that of taking notes and then talking about it. And then as I would talk about it, sometimes I form a new thought of, oh, this is why I like this. So it was such a selfish betterment for me in terms of learning more. And then I realized, oh, but okay, people actually, like, not my students are watching this, but other people are watching this. And then they started to comment, oh, we like this, we don't like this, could you do this? He goes, oh, okay, well, that's going to force me to learn this. Let me do that. And also have more time back then. So then that snowballed into doing rig reviews and just everything else where like, oh, it all selfishly helps me. And then when I got the job offer from Warner, so when I quit ILM, I went to Warner's, what the showrunner said was, hey, we like your stuff, we looked at your work and everything, but I really liked your acting analysis clips on YouTube. And that's what sold us, because the way you think about structure in movies and story, I think would help our project. And those clips are the lowest views. I get like 300 views for those videos. So for me, it was like, oh, it's not how many see your clips, it's who sees your clip. It could just be one person that makes the difference. And that blew my mind. So then again, I'm continuing because it's like, it's also almost like your resume. I'm out there, people know me. And that continues, but I'm also having less time now. So as you can see, my channel is fairly dormant now. But then my Nickelodeon job, the producer, the VFX producer, said the same thing. I watch your clips. I like this. Yeah, work for us, basically. I'm paraphrasing massively. So for me, it's that. And as a tip for students, critique other people's work. Start teaching as early as you can. Might not be at a university, but the process of looking at someone else's work trains your eye to see mistakes faster than before. So now when I look at a student's shot, within seconds I can see what's not working, which is much easier than looking at your own shots and critiquing your own shots. That's still what I'm trying to learn. But as a general advice, do that. It helps you so much. That and LinkedIn. All my jobs were also locked in through LinkedIn. I know someone that knew someone that got me the job interview faster because of that. So being active online where you post your work for feedback and making connections on LinkedIn are right now my two favorite things. Like Star Trek, the showrunner is Swiss. And I connected with him before the job opening for Star Trek. And then when that came up, I said, hey, Warner's just laid us off because Warner's, Netflix canceled the show that I was working on for Warner's. So it was like panic of finding a job. And then I messaged him, like, hey, fellow Swiss person, I was just, sob story first. I got laid off because of Netflix. I see your job opening. What do you think? So bypassing all those steps. And he said, oh, that looks cool. Here's the email for the line producer, whoever, to bypass everyone. Let's do this. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of it is connecting and being out there so people are aware of what you're doing, if that makes sense. Like that's the extra work you have to do as a student, basically.
Going back to giving feedback, Animation Mentor has released really good like mentorship program where you would just sign up to different degrees of students, and then you would just like take like 2 students for the semester, and then you will critique their work every week. And I did that once. I was trying to do it the entire time, but I just didn't feel like I was good enough to give feedback. But then when I did it, I realized it really doesn't matter. It's just, it's a little bit selfish, like you said. It's helping me so much. I mean, I hope that I help the students that I gave reviews to, but it helps you a lot. It helps you find your own problems in your own shots too. So yeah, Animation Mentor has a really good one for that.
Don't be afraid to be selfish.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, yes, you want to help, but it's also the reality. I also need to be better than I was last week. So like whatever helps you to learn that process better in different ways. And again, people learn differently. Some people like text tutorials more than, say, videos. So like whatever works for you. But I found teaching being super, super helpful. And also it's super inspiring and it kicks your butt. Sometimes you see students where you go, holy crap, that person's going to take my job in a year.
That's
like,
very true. That happened to you.
Yeah. So it pushes you to be better and better because, you know, like why would I hire myself if this student can do this? So it's great for so many reasons, for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, I go on LinkedIn basically every day, and I just we scroll in, and Sorman and I send each other different people's work, and we're just like, ooh, dang, that was really cool. And then we say, oh, this. So that's
we should share our we stopped sharing our shots on LinkedIn. We should start again, like our different. Even if it's not done, you just ask for feedback.
Yes.
Why not?
I mean, I'm posting one up tomorrow, so it's not finished, but it'll be up either way. Gonna post it anyway.
It doesn't have to be done.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the other thing. That's a good point. All the monthly challenges. Because then you have a deadline, which is also good.
It's good, but then
I'm a kind of person that needs deadlines, and that helps.
Me too.
Real life kicked my butt, so I didn't have enough time to really finish it.
Yeah.
Bronchitis. It's okay.
That's okay. But deadlines for sure. Yeah, I love parameters and limitations in deadlines.
And I feel like that's the thing we're missing, where we're not working right now. Because at work, those deadlines helped us out so much. We're like, and now with no work, it's kind of like we don't really have a deadline.
Yeah, I'm trying to learn modeling and rigging, and I keep pushing it back because I'm like, oh, I have the podcast, but I need to animate. But yeah, I just need deadlines. Alejandro, you need to give me a deadline for the modeling and rigging, please. Just set one.
Okay, I will tomorrow.
Yeah, think of it and let me know. Okay. Tomorrow? No, please give me a little more time.
It's a lot to learn. Rigging is hard.
I know a little bit, so it won't be like from scratch, but yeah. Modeling, I think, would be easier.
That's that generalist feeling that you're getting. It's like, I should just learn everything.
Do you know Unreal?
Yes.
Okay. See, I don't know that. Like, that's something that's constantly on my list.
We basically got pushed into it at Halon, kind of like, hey, we need you to start learning this because we're going to use this for work. So then we're always like, we could do this, but we learned right on the job.
Figure out how to do it. Yeah.
How was it? How easy was it to learn, or hard?
If we're talking about animation, it wasn't great then, but it's better now. So it's a lot easier to learn now. But in general, it's just very different from Maya. It's just a different beast. As soon as you learn the feel of the software, I think then it's easy to get better.
Yeah,
because you
animate within Unreal, or do you transfer from Maya? Okay,
you can do both. We did both.
We did both, but we weren't really in the stage where Unreal is like easy to animate. We did some tests for at work, and it was tough.
We were Unreal 4. Unreal 4 is not great in animation, but now Unreal 5.4 is amazing. Well, it's gone a lot better. You can animate in Unreal now.
It's almost amazing.
It's just getting there. And it's worth it. A lot of the jobs that we see, almost like 90% of them have the Unreal. It's better if you know Unreal. Let us know if you know Unreal. That's another thing that I feel like I don't have on my reel. Like there's no Unreal anything on there. So
you can big shout out to, I think it's Sir Wade is doing a YouTube live right now teaching people Unreal.
Yeah, that's a good one if you want to take a look.
That's by looking at jobs, gameplay animator stuff has so much in terms of Unreal. So you having time, well, you know it already, but anybody in terms of tips for finding jobs, like look at what for me, it's not the 3 to 5 years like that too discouraging, but look at the software that they're asking for. But I think Maya and Unreal for sure are big ones. it's good to know Blender, but a lot of studios don't use Blender, so it's not yet the thing that you have to know. But
exactly.
It's good to know. Why not? Also, it's free. But yeah, Unreal is something that's constantly on my list. But it's again, time is the issue.
Yeah.
Although I will, that's my bucket list, because when I go to Montreal, I'll be alone, and it's going to be like weekends before overtime kicks in. I will have time to do stuff. I will explore before snow kicks in. It's a couple months, so my goal is to do my Real and Unreal. That's my
whole new cartoony Real and an Unreal learning.
Yeah, because the Real, I have so many notes. That's another tip that I would say for anybody out there when you don't work, or hopefully when you work too, but again, time is the issue. Just constantly write stuff down, observe, take photos, or just collect reference of compositions that are awesome, character designs are awesome. So I have so many ideas separately on like blogs, my notes app, everywhere. So by now I made a fairly detailed list of these are the shots that I want to animate. I just have to find the time, modify some of the rigs, and get in there. So by the time I will start, I think it should be okay in terms of like the research and the ideas. I think I'm okay. It's just finding the time. And also, I can't do too much because you don't want to burn out. You know, like as you work 100%. And then come home and work more.
Yeah.
So I gotta balance that. But being alone was going to be helpful. Sad, but also helpful.
I think you're gonna enjoy Unreal. It's a breath of fresh air in some ways.
Okay,
no, it's really cool.
It's fun to be in it.
The main thing for me is the render. Like that's why I wanted first to look at it. Where can take
that's the best beautiful part. It's amazing.
It was really cool to see like taking our animations from Maya, transferring it into Unreal, and then having like the lighting department at times, because other times it was just they would just tell us, yeah, just put lights in, put effects in. It was just
us. What lighting department? It was mostly us. What are you talking about? Yeah. We would add all the effects and all the lights and then render. And I would, even though I'm seeing what's happening, I would get surprised of the renders afterwards. Because
this is really beautiful.
Did I do this? It's crazy.
That's so cool. That still blows me away. Like cool renders. Like, it's cool to on your reel to have something that's a play blast. So like your animation transcends the shitty play blast. Basically, like it's your animation that is center stage, and that's what convinces people.
Yeah.
But having a nice render for me, like visually, I love seeing stuff render.
Same.
That's so cool.
Same.
I gotta do
hides your that and like some camera movement hides your crappy animation. Pixels are always moving and it's well lit. I love talking about animation too. That's the thing. I love the process. Maybe that's like my last thing that I will say. You didn't even ask me a question. I was going to talk anyway.
Go for it.
I think what helps definitely is the process, and I think that's my main advice for any students that will, because you don't want to be focused on the end results because you don't know what's going to happen. Like you say, like you don't have access to your professional work. It might take time.
Yeah.
It might be a deleted scene. They might not use it. Whatever it is. But if you are okay animating like 20 versions of a shot for months and no one will ever see it, and you're okay with that, like mentally you're already ahead of lots of people where it's you just like the process, coming up with ideas, acting things out, blocking things out, polishing it. And if that's all there is, you're going to do really well, because it's that has helped me. Because in VFX, stuff gets deleted and redone and re-edited, obviously feature as well, but sometimes it can be very frustrating when your work is gone. But at this point, it doesn't matter anymore. To me, it's always, if you have to do something 20 times over, you 20 times better at the end. And I get paid at the end. So if it's in the movie, fuck it. Yes, it's important when you need a reel to apply somewhere. So again, that's the filter or my lens of, if you're employed somewhere for a long time, you don't have to worry. If you're jumping from job to job, like the way I'm now, that's a different kind of worry. I would like to have it on my reel.
Yeah.
But I still like just animating. I just like doing that.
That just reminds me. So sometimes I have the struggle where I have this really cool idea. I animate it and then I ask for feedback from various people because everyone's perspective is different. My problem is a lot of people would give you feedback on body mechanics, all that. And then they also give you story feedback. There comes a point, like when you do many, many different variations of that based on the feedback, it comes a point where the story feedback, you don't agree with it. How do you gauge? Do you have to listen to all these people because they're giving you feedback on the story, or I'm sure about this part of the story and ask them, can you just give me like mechanical feedback instead of just the story? I never know. I always feel like maybe I should listen.
Yeah, for sure. Listen, you never know. Like you never know what comes out of it. It just depends who gives you. If it's like a first year student that gives you a story tip, and you're also first year students, it might be equal. You mean like then you don't have to listen to it. But if you're asking a story person who's done this for 30 years, you should probably listen. You know, like it's
what
just
if it's someone that's around the same? Well, maybe it's like I'm a
Is
mid
it me?
animator and they're a lead. No.
Is it me? Is it me?
Actually, I don't think you've ever given me feedback on my shots. Have you?
Yeah, we did the train shot, but mine was more of just the
Yours
emotion
were
of the
mechanics.
guy.
Well, I was actually thinking about the train shot too. That's what I was. But yeah, no, it would be like me. I'm a mid animator, let's say, and they're a lead,
Mhm.
and they're giving me story feedback. But I'm very sure, like their feedback changes the type of character that I'm thinking in my head.
Yes, it's definitely tricky. The thing is, anything technical, yes, you should listen to. If the story and character and acting note changes the intent, where it's like you want to do something melancholy, and that person makes it slapsticky. It's an extreme example. Then you would push back.
Okay.
But if it's something where it's, you know, it will change it. Either the note makes it better, or it makes it different, or makes it worse. And I think you have to kind of gauge it. This is a non-answer, but you have to kind of gauge it for yourself how much it's going to affect your story within the context of who's giving you that feedback. So if you feel like you know the same that I do, so you're just making it different, I'm going to stick to what I like because that's the story I want to tell. If it's someone that's more experienced and they really go like, you should really change this. Basically, if they give you a note and it changes it, you can always say, I'm concerned that it changes the tone and feel of my story. Is your note pushing that way to enhance my story, or do you feel like it's going to change? Because you can ask that too, and they might go, oh, you're right, that's a bit more subjective, I want to make it different, I'm not respecting your emotional point of view of this. You know what I mean? So you're gonna have a discussion. You're gonna have moments where you're just gonna have to accept it because you don't know anything about story, or it's gonna be something, are you gonna reject it because you got 10 notes and you can't implement everything. So it's somewhat of a non-answer, but it's the technical things, listen to it, but you just have to kind of suss it out where this is making it funnier than I want it to be, or sadder than I want it to be. For sure, you can push back. Anything in the middle, you have to kind of discuss it, and then at the end, you just have to make your choice there too. It's kind of a non-answer, but yeah.
Well, it helps. But it makes sense to me.
It makes perfect sense.
I mean, if you show it to 10 people and 8 out of 10 give you the same story note, that's a good gauge. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, there must be something to it. I'm doing it wrong. But if you get 10 different things from 10 different people, then it becomes, okay, well, then you just have to filter.
Yeah, I think if I just tell them this is what I think for the story, do you think the story is not working, or am I not clear about what this character is trying to do? And then they will, I think it should be more of a conversation. Maybe I'm scared of having that conversation, and just I feel like I need to accept everything everyone says. So yeah,
don't have to accept it, but also accept that you can be wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
yeah.
There's always going to be someone that knows more, and someone even with like the same age level, experience level, might just have the affinity of understanding and the feelings of characters more.
Oh,
like, okay, that sounds pretty cool. You never know.
Yeah.
And some people also just be mindful of what you're showing to whom, in terms of, is that their wheelhouse? Like my wife will never watch horror movies. So it's kind of like, okay, well, I would never talk about or force her to watch that movie with me. So if you're showing something, let's say creatures, and that person hates creature animation, that's just want to do like human, cartoony, super cartoony time and stuff, they, just because of what they're used to, what they like, is already going to be a distorted feedback, if that makes sense.
Yeah 100%.
So kind of like, judge the people that you're asking.
Just going back, I was just thinking about what you were saying, like, doing shots over and over and trying, and like maybe getting it into the film. I was just thinking of our Aquaman and how we worked on Aquaman, and I think I did probably well over like 100 shots, and none of them went in.
Wow. So you did previous?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it was just like, it just made me think about it, because like there's one scene where like the villain is being attacked and like by sharks, and then I just remember like getting a note from the director to our lead, and he's like, hey, they want to do tuna. It's like, okay, I'll put tuna in. So then we put that, and then he's like, hey, no, they want smaller fish. Okay, put that in. And then they're like, hey, let's go back to the sharks. Okay. And then I just saw the movie on the flight home like 3 days ago on the airplane, and it's not even in the movie. And I'm like,
oh, wow.
Okay.
You have other shots. Come on. You have like 3 shots, I think.
I got nothing.
But that's the nature of previous, though. Like, you're definitely exposed to more changes.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
but like what you said, though, is true. Like, even though all those shots didn't make it in, I learned a lot and I had fun making them and creating new ideas with it. So
yeah, it's a double thing of you had fun, but if you need a job, you don't have the material. I know. I think it's just going to be, even if your first year, if you just graduated and it's your first whatever job, you might not get that material for a while or at all. So right when you make it, right when you think you made it, and I don't have to work on my own stuff anymore. I got company material now. That's not true. You still have to work on the next reel on your own until you have enough to supplement it.
Yeah.
Or then you're back to where I am, where you have to disregard what you have. You have to go back to making your own work to then show people. I think it's a constant cycle. And I think also just be ready for that. You always have to work on something. Also within a company. I remember doing a shot in my free time and then showing it to a soup at ILM. And I said, oh, that's cool. He didn't say, I didn't know you could do that. That was someone else. But he wasn't aware, because the thing is, they don't know what they don't know. Like, if you don't tell them, like way back, I remember I was asking, I think emailing every supervisor at ILM. I was like, hey, I want to be a lead. And some responded, I didn't know you want to do that. Because some people just like to be animators. They don't want to go into all management, lead, supervising stuff.
Yeah.
And for me, it was like, well, isn't that the normal progression? And it's not at all, and you shouldn't be. So that was like a big light bulb. Oh, you got to tell people what you want. And then you might be surprised. Like, one of them wrote me, oh, you're not ready like for the next 3 to 5 years. And this is why. And it was awesome. Like, okay, now I've got a bullet point to do this.
Work towards.
Yeah.
And then the next year, he put me on a movie as my first lead position. Because he said, I saw the drive. Like, that's kind of what I got from it. Like, but let's get you on this. Let's train you. Let's see how this goes. So even though it felt like it's going to be a long time, then it wasn't. And it's only because I wrote something. And I think I did, I remember doing Space Jam 2. And then I remember the VFX soup going, I didn't know you could do this. Because I did a character called Pete, a character test for the rigs and stuff like that. It was super cartoony. And even though I had been there for like 17 years at that point, and I had worked with that soup before, he said, I didn't know you could do this. And in my mind, like, how can you not know?
Yeah.
But how would he? Because we never did this together. And he's not going to go online and check what I'm doing. So I think it behooves students, and once you go out the company, just be mindful that people don't know what you're doing. They just see what they see when you work together. So if you want to go somewhere else, you might have to work on other things just to show them, hey, I can do this. You can cast 100%. Me on other shots, and so on and so on. So the work never ends in a way. Not that it's kind of depressing sounding, but like, you just constantly have to show it and remind people. And
that's why our industry is not boring. You're always getting challenged consistently. Never ending challenges.
Not boring. No. Holy moly. Just when you think it's not boring, then something happens. Or don't think it's boring, something happens.
This should be in the trailer of this episode. Our industry is not boring.
It's not boring.
Again, like, great. My favorite thing to tell people is the new movie of Jennifer Lopez on Netflix, Atlas. Yeah. I tell everyone, I'm like, hey, when you see a close-up of that robot taking a step, every one of those is mine.
Nice. Just yesterday, we almost watched it. We were with my wife. Yeah, it was between Atlas, Trigger Warning. Is that the Jessica Alba one?
Okay.
It's called Trigger Warning. And then Hitman.
Hitman's fun.
Yeah, it was so we ended up with that one because we wanted something. It felt like this is going to be not like a bit more relaxed versus actiony stuff. So then we went with that. It was so much fun. We really liked it.
Hitman is great. Honestly, Atlas is you will be entertained. Okay, all the cool stuff that you see in the movie basically is me and Alejandro and a couple other people in our group. The rest is not that great.
Oh, okay. Hype has been crushed.
You're gonna be entertained. It's gonna be a great movie. You're gonna enjoy it, but there's gonna be parts where you be like, why? Like, why this choice?
They're just gonna love the feet shots. Just saying it right now. They're gonna love the
feet
shots.
The mix, the mech work and everything. That was
fun. It was hard. We learned a lot on that. It's fun.
Yeah.
No, you'll enjoy it. The VFX and stuff is good. You'll enjoy.
Cool. I think Helen worked on it too. I think.
Yeah, we would send the finals to them. Yeah, we just previs. So if camera work you liked, it's fast.
Talking about shows, I recommend Dark Matter on Apple TV Plus.
Really?
I'm terrible at names. I'm terrible at
He
actors'
did
names.
Uncle Owen in the prequels. The Warrior with Tom Hardy.
That's him. Yes.
What's his name? It's that something actor. That you can.
My wife and I just finished it yesterday, and it's a mind boggle, but it's so good.
We watched the first episode, and we really, really liked it.
Dark Material?
Worth continuing. That's
Dark
awesome.
Material, sorry. Yes.
Dark Matter. Yeah.
Oh, Dark Matter.
Okay,
Matter
you're confusing me. It's Dark
Joel
Matter.
Edgerton.
So good.
Jennifer Connelly. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know about it. I should try.
Pay attention to details. That's all I'm going to give you as advice on the show. Okay. Pay attention to details. So good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Did you guys watch Severance?
Yeah.
Oh, I started. It's so good.
So good.
It's just it doesn't get enough. It doesn't get enough hype. Honestly, it's great.
Did you do previous for Foundation?
No.
That has some cool shots in it too.
Oh, I haven't seen
cool
this
visuals.
One.
Also on Apple.
Ooh. I have to give that one a shot. I haven't seen that.
Yeah, neat stuff. Really like it. Apple TV is kind of like the new HBO with some really cool, high quality stuff in there.
Presume Innocent. I'm watching that right now. I know it was a movie back in the day, but I'm watching the TV show.
I'm that old. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Gyllenhaal. Gyllenhaal. Like something. You have to watch. I think it's Conan O'Brien. I think he did the talk show host where I think Conan O'Brien said his name not to make fun of it, but kind of like in a higher pitched voice. And he goes, "That's actually the way you're supposed to pronounce it."
Gyllenhaal. I never know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. It is a Swedish name, is it not?
It is a Swedish name.
So shouldn't it be like Gyllenhaal?
Oh my god!
It's not Gyllenhaal. Yeah. Because I think he is. Is that Dutch?
He's Swedish, I believe.
Swedish. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard him on Smartless, and he was talking about that.
That's awesome. It's like Charlize Theron. It's also she's South African.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And also the way you pronounce her name is totally different. It's always interesting when we're so used to. It's like Ray Fiennes, or it's Rafe. Right, I think it's pronounced Rafe. Rafe Fiennes.
Rafe Fiennes?
Yeah.
Wow, I had no idea what any of these.
And one that was recent, which I have to admit, like, people are gonna laugh that you didn't know this, or that I didn't know this, but it was oh man, I'm blanking. It's someone's first name. That's the rest of the podcast is silence as we're thinking.
Do people pronounce your name
Irish.
right?
Oh, it's from Oppenheimer. What's his face? Peaky Blinders.
Yeah. Search, Alejandro. Search.
I'm searching.
My keyboard's too far from me.
There's a K. You pronounce it with a K instead of. Oh man.
Oh come on.
Fail. Triple fail. All of us.
You know what?
He's in Batman.
Is it?
How is it not coming, Alejandro?
Cillian Murphy? No.
It's
Cillian.
Cillian
Murphy. Cillian Murphy.
I know for how long I said Cillian.
Yeah, Cillian Murphy. That one I knew. Yes. One
if
out
Cillian
of 10.
listens to the podcast, we apologize.
Nice.
Apologize for forgetting your name for so long.
My name is Jean-Denis, technically.
Jean-Denis.
Haas last name. So my dad is actually from the French part of Switzerland, but I grew up in the German part of Switzerland. So it's Haas, but Jean-Denis. But no one calls me Jean-Denis. It's always JD. Even like as I grew up, it was too long. So actually people call me Shondi. I just remember that they called me Shondi. And then later on, I think when I came to the States, it was JD very quickly. Because I would say
it's easier for everyone.
I was like, what's your name? I was like, Jean-Denis. And they go, what?
Yeah.
And then they go, Jean-Denis. And they go, oh. And then you get that. I was like, fuck. No. So then after a while, it was just JD. And then after a while, with my like accents and everything, they wouldn't even understand JD. Like when I would call for pizza or something. So now every time I order pizza or anywhere where it said a name, I say J. And that, even with my pronunciation, people go Jade or something. Like I can't get it right. I'm so horrible at pronouncing names. So I'm going like smaller and smaller. I can't make it shorter than J. But generally it's JD.
I mean JD is
and I'm
easy.
So used to JD.
Yeah.
But whenever I hear JD in a movie or like JP, it always kind of almost sounds arrogant. I'm JD. Like, but I'm used to it not being arrogant. But I never know how people what they think about when you hear someone. What's his name? Is JD?
I think it's the US because people call Alejandro something else. What is your name that people call you?
Alejandro.
No, but like the name that people actually call you.
Alex.
Alex.
Oh,
they don't.
Alex. Okay.
Yeah, they call me Alex because they're like.
Al. No one calls you Al.
No, my family calls me Alo, ALO.
Huh?
So we go with that. But at work, I see people like you. They start trying to struggle saying the name, and I'm just like, just call me Alex. They're like, oh, okay.
That's the thing. Yeah, it's easier. Yeah.
I moved here and people struggled, and I got mad because of the struggle. So I would not give up. We would stand there for 10 minutes until they would get my name right. But the only thing that I learned, because I don't want to be rude and make the situation a little more funny, they would always say, oh, it's like gourmet. I'm like, yeah, or sorbet, which is whatever's easier for you. But yeah,
Nice.
intonations that way. So sorbet, and then they'll get it faster. So now that's what I do. But yeah, I refuse to give a different name. It's just use my name. That's what I was born with.
So self-conscious in classes when some people have, especially from Thailand, they have some very complicated names, and it's always. I used to ask, do you have any nicknames? And now I try to pronounce it, but then I know it makes me really nervous in class when I then say it wrong.
Yeah.
And sometimes I just don't say that person's name because I'm afraid of saying it wrong. I remember at the academy, one teacher, he had to go same thing. When I was a student, he went like roll call with all crazy names. And then he looks at me, he went through a lot of Asian countries where like the academy is great for international students, but it's a struggle for teachers with their names. So then by the time he got to my name, he was already tired. Goes, oh, fuck. How do you pronounce your name? What should I call you? And I said, you can call me whatever you want. And he said, oh, okay, Frank. And I said, yes. And he called me Frank the whole semester, to a point where when I heard Frank in the streets, I would look around. It was great. But I loved it that he was so ballsy because he wasn't joking. He was going, Frank. I was like, okay, I guess so.
I guess you look like a Frank to him.
I guess I'm a Frank, yeah. But JD, yeah, that's the...
Jean-Denis.
But even my parents don't call me Jean-Denis. They call me le tout petit, the little one. So I have an older brother.
Oh,
so I'm just not really used to hearing my name at all, ever.
Then I'm with you on that one. I'm called Gordis, which is, in Spanish, it's just the fatty.
Oh, that's horrible.
No, I mean,
shaming.
My mom says that in like a cute. Oh man, I'm sorry, Mom, I'm saying this, but it's in Spanish. It's a cute way to say it. So she calls me that,
cute,
and then whenever I'm with friends and they're like, "Did she just?" and I'm like, "Don't even. It's okay. Just go with it."
Yeah, but I understand that. My older brother, we call each other. It's double on off. Off is monkey, ape in German, and double is basically moron, I think. So to this day, but we have to be careful because we all have kids now. So when we're around each other, we have to be very careful how we treat each other. That's a bit of a thing. But yeah, people, especially family, can have some harsh names sometimes. Yeah. Keeps you humble.
Yeah, it does.
Thank you so much, JD, for being with us and
my pleasure.
Staying longer and talking to us about everything.
Oh, it was wonderful. Yeah,
I love it.
No,
I love it. It's great to talk to people who understand, the terminology and everything, and who have the same passion and everything. It's great, and it's just like I said, it's a spoiled job to have. Yes, within that job there are struggles and for sure lots of problems, but as a whole, I just love it, and I love talking about it. It never gets old. So thank you for staying. You probably wanted to leave like an hour ago. Damn it, JD, ask another question. So
Not
thank
at
you.
all.
I really appreciate it.
Oh, and then what if we do another podcast once you're settled in Montreal to see how you're doing up there? That'd be cool.
And maybe show your new reel and everything.
In the snow. Yeah, ask me. Yeah, that would be funny to do like a catch up, let's say I would say June. Because I think the movie comes out in June. So I'm definitely not working on it anymore in June. I think that's not a production spoiler where I get in trouble. Like, we're going to be done in June. It's done. So anytime after June, will I? Maybe that's the pressure that I need. That's my deadline. They're gonna ask me about my reel. I don't have the reel. Okay. June. Let's talk about that experience. Because it's going to be, it's a big show. Lots of people, lots of different. Frame Store is doing, I think I can say that, all of it. I'm sure at one point maybe not. A lot of times, like, companies do, as you know, they break it up.
Yeah.
But it's a ginormous chunk of work, and it's super cool. Obviously, I can't talk about any details, but it looks already awesome. I think fans of the movie are going to love it. For sure, you're going to have people going like, why do, it's like the Disney ones, why do a remake if the other one already exists? I get it. But it's super cool. Some tough animation in it. It's gonna be really, really awesome, and it's gonna be a cool experience because it's there's so many different supervisors involved in different locations.
It's a big project,
It's a big project, and
so we can't wait till June.
I'm glad they gave you your work visa though, because a lot of companies are just not doing.
That's the thing.
He's waiting.
I mean, the possibility of them doing it now, they don't even allow you to apply to foreign countries because they're like, oh, we're not going to sponsor anything.
I think Canada is, pretty okay. I have no experience. I don't know. Sometimes
we haven't found them, but I guess I need to watch your channel more to look at all the jobs that you share that has all those things.
There are definitely a bunch of jobs in Canada. Canada has Montreal has a ton of companies because they had a really good tax break deal.
They did,
but then Quebec changed it just like a week ago or something, or May.
Oh,
and that reduction, it makes it kind of like other countries, but it's still really, really good. But so many VFX companies, like game companies, are there. There's a lot of really cool stuff.
Yeah, Canada's pretty cool.
So for sure. So, but I hope, otherwise it's going to be 2 more months of me supervising, and then that's it.
No, you're gonna get it. Fingers crossed. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
We believe. Well,
we'll see.
Thank you again. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you so much.
JD, wait.
Oh,
we end by saying, let's stay crispy, everyone, and we'll see you next time. And we always ask our guests to say that.
Let's stay. What was?
Let's stay crispy, and we'll see you next time.
Let's stay crispy to the camera.
Yeah.
Or to any. Yeah.
Let's stay. What is it? I'm going to write it down. Let's stay crispy, and I will see you again. Was it?
Yeah. That works.
Is that fine?
Works. Yes.
I can't take direction.
The important thing is the let's stay crispy. The rest is okay.
Because it's a channel name, right?
Crispy Animator is our podcast name, and that's our thing.
Let's stay crispy, and I'll see you again. And support the channel, like and subscribe, and all that jazz. Do it.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, JD.
Right.
Thank you.
JD.
Bye.
Bye.